everyone, this is Matabin Village from Pakistan, and you're watching my YouTube channel Insani Ittihad, which aims to invoke a little bit of humanity in all of us through awareness and understanding. So I wanted to share a few more things in regards to the previous video that I uploaded in regards to a podcast of a transgender guy in Pakistan. So there was this another thing which sort of bothered me, and it sort of got my thought process going, and I had to think about it and see things in a more in another perspective, let's just say that. So this guy actually narrates a story in regards to Khwaja Sara. So some of the transgender people are referred to as Khwaja Sara, but of course there is like a, you know, in the LGBTQ sort of spectrum, so there are all different kinds of colors into this this color theme, this spectrum. So there are people who are transgender, people who have biological things which kind of makes them bisexual, or have issues in regards to their sexual identity. However, this person actually narrated a story that these Khwaja Sara, which are, I mean, you can Google it and would probably have the exact meaning of this word of Khwaja Sara. So this Khwaja Sara, according to him, they have a guru, or they have somebody that they can spiritually relate themselves to, and that person is called Khaja. Now as per this person, this guy who was named Khwaja was actually a transgender himself, and he was in the pre-partition subcontinent. I'm not sure where exactly, maybe in Amritsar or Lahore. I'm not sure actually, and I think I remember correctly, he didn't even mention the exact place of birth or place of his thing. But I think if we can Google that, where is the shrine or the tomb of the Khwaja, so they will be there. I didn't Google it myself because honestly, like I said in the previous video, I'm not interested in going into details how the transgender people, or I mean, the thing is, I do not, because I would say, because in a way I am a biased straight person, and I don't have the capacity also. I mean, my sexual education, we don't even get a sexual education in the Pakistan, at least the school system and the thing that I went into. So I don't know, I don't have any knowledge specifically to that, and honestly, I'm not interested to get any knowledge, because I don't want myself associated, not that I hate them or anything. LGBTQ people have every right to identify themselves or have sexual orientations or sexual partners as their choice. They're humans. I am human, and I have a limited amount of capacity to understand my own life, let alone I would understand somebody else's life, and then to somebody's intimate life. So I didn't go into this. I just heard this podcast, and I will speak in the context of that podcast only. So this person narrates that this guy Khwaja, who happens to be a transgender, lived in the subcontinent way back before the partition of the subcontinent. This guy used to dress like women, and he used to say that his spirit or his soul is feminine, despite the fact that he had a masculine body. That means he had genitals which were masculine. So one of the the Maharaja, or the Muslim person who was head of that particular state where this person Khaja used to live, he called him up to his his palace or something like that, And then he sort of asked to remove his, he removed actually his trousers and said that, why do you dress like women when you have genitals of a man? And then this person says, I dress like a woman because I am a woman, because my soul is woman, and the God who created all the men and women also created me as a third gender who has a soul and a spirit of a feminine, but a body of a masculine. But that Maharaja or that king says that, what would be your sexual identity is defined by your genitals. So if you have if you have a male genital, you're a genit. If you have a male genital, or you have private parts of a man, you would be addressed as men and not women, and it doesn't matter what type of dress you wear. So what this person does is that if this male private part defines my identity, I'll just cut it off. And this person who was a transgender giving this podcast said that this is a very spiritual act of sacrifice, actually related to this whole thing as a very spiritual sort of a thing, that this person was so spiritually connected to the divine through his feminine energy. And he said that if my body defines who I am, I'll just cut my genitals. And he cut his private part himself, and then he bled to death. Now, when I was hearing that, it was very, and the other person who happened to be a straight man, married straight man, he was they were like, he was like, oh wow, that's very, very spiritual, that he was connected to the divine with his feminine spirit or soul, and then he sacrificed his body to prove that his connection with the divine was very sacred and all. But as a woman, I was thinking that okay, there is this one perspective. One can say that this was important for him, and body anyway is a perishable thing. We die and we decompose our bodies and our bones and everything, they become dust, and then our soul actually goes to Hashem, to divine, and connects with that. Yeah, totally. But then again, if we say that feminine soul, that feminine spirit was given to him by Hashem, by the divine, then who gave that person his personal private parts or the body? The body is also given to us by Hashem. I mean, one can say, okay, our parents, they mate and the DNA composes who we are and we look like our parents also. So our parents actually make our body, and our soul and spirit comes from Hashem. This is the, cycle of, the creation. But then again, I disagree with this whole concept slightly, that, a woman can give a cell only, and a man can give a sperm only. That sperm and that cell mate, I mean, in itself is a huge, I mean, there are so many. Okay, let's say a woman is ovulating. Ovulating is a process where, there are new cells are created in woman, ready to be fertilized if she has intimate relationship with some male person. Okay, this is straight on biology. So, and even when the man and a woman mate for they come close, I mean, out of all the sperms, there has to be only one sperm which has to fertilize the egg, or two sperms or whatever. That decision is not in control of the man and the woman who are mating. sometimes fertilization is not in control of those two people who we address our parents. So for example, my mother always wanted a boy and my father was, well, he was like, any a girl child or a male child, anything. I mean, after 8 years of our marriage, if we are blessed with a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter. So my father was that, of that perspective. In fact, my mother says that my father was very, very happy to have a daughter, and he named me after his beloved who rejected him. That's a story also. But anyway, he was very happy. My mother always wanted a son, but well, she found out that she's gonna have a daughter. And my father actually kind of knew that if I would have a daughter, I would name her Majabine. And my mother said, no, instead of Majabine, name her Mariam, or, that sort of thing. So anyway, even husband, wife, or, girlfriend, boyfriend, or people who have casual sex, they don't necessarily want to have a child, or they don't go into that. So unless, there are couples who are trying to have children, they go into that. But then again, it's not in their control that what gender their baby is going to be, or if they will mate now, that the mating itself will result in a fertilization or in an embryo or whatever. So it proves that the fertilization also happens at the will of Hashem, at the will of divine. So our body, with whatever genitalias that we have, either feminine or masculine or whatever in between thing biologically are there, that's from Hashem. Our bodies are from Hashem, our souls are from Hashem, and the purpose of life, which is dedicated or assigned to a soul, not just a body. Your purpose in life, I think it is for the soul, not the body. Because, at times your soul keeps on telling you what is your purpose of life. But, we're just so contaminated in our bodies that we just don't listen to our divine soul. And we do all those, horrible things like taking drugs, or, self-mutilating or self-harm. People commit suicide and just because it's so hard for their bodies to go on, because it's just too much of pressure of either work. I mean, just imagine a person who is going through this, even a prostitute, a person who is forced into prostitution. She's going a lot of pressure and a lot of emotional trauma, and it is not just happening to her spirit and soul, it is actually basically happening to her body. Or even if the person who is a transgender and people are just forcing him or her to be like that, even that's a trauma, and that's a trauma to their body. And then they have drug abuse or self harming things. So it is both ways. So the body also suffers from things happening, and at times it stops listening to the divine soul and the divine spirit, which guides us, that it doesn't matter how bad your body goes, or how hurt your body is, or how decapitated or hurt or mutilated your bodies are. Your soul is still pure and it's divine. And the whole concept of bodies going into dust and decomposing, and then the prophecy that when Mashiach come, or the Messianic times will come, all the bodies will be resurrected, shows that bodies are important. Of course, bodies are important. They are the vessels in which our divine souls reside, and that divine soul is Hashem's light, and a slight part of Hashem's light. So obviously, that vessel is important, and that vessel is given to us by Hashem. So by that person, removing that private part of his and bleeding to death, he not only killed his body, but he also killed the spirit. Because, if our bodies are the vessels in which our divine souls reside, and through which our divine souls express themselves and, fulfill their purpose in life, and to better this world and fix this world, then the body is part and parcel of that divine soul's mission. So the soul doesn't do it on its own. To be here in the physical world, in this world that we have missions and goals and purpose in life, we as in our divine souls, our godly soul, is manifests its divine purpose and materializes its divine purpose through our bodies. And by cutting that private part, he just denied the blessing that Hashem gave him, either with that feminine spirit and soul, but also that material body and that vessel that Hashem gave him, the divine gave him, to fulfill that purpose. Anyway, that sacrifice was inspired by so many people, including perhaps that king, because at that very moment where he just cut off his private parts and bleed to death, he made a monument and shrine of this sacrifice, and they call it, and the people, transgender people, who consider this person Khwaja as their spiritual guide and as someone to look up to, they pay their patronages and their allegiance and whatever. It's a source of inspiration for them, because he sacrificed his masculinity for the sake of his femininity in terms of the soul that he has. Now, I think it's wrong, because even if you have a feminine soul and you have a masculine body, that's beautiful. And that also, again, I also think of this whole thing that, just like few people here in my, in my channel said, why do you wear hijab if you are a Jew or you want to convert out of Islam? Sometimes what we do is that we're so superficial and so shallow that we define people of what they wear. A woman wearing a bikini or wearing a short skirt is a very lustrous woman. She wants every man to see her sexy legs and have sex with her. What gives us the motivation to have the thought process like that? For me, I would say probably me covered up in a burqa and that woman wearing a fine short skirt. We're both women. And okay, fine, she has nice, good-looking, sexy legs and she's showing to the world. Or maybe she's not showing to the world. She wants to just show this to somebody that she likes and kind of make him attract towards her. Or maybe she just feels it's very hot and I should not wear that because it's quite very, if you're living here in Pakistan, the weather is very, very hot. And very humid and hot, and it's so maybe she just there are tribes in Africa, there are tribes in the world who live in jungles wearing nothing. So are they sexualized? Say I go to them wearing a hijab, so they would judge me what kind of a person she is. She's wearing all these things, and how can a dress define a human being? A human being who has so many inspirations, so many experiences, so many lives connected to him or her. Maybe she doesn't have long skirts. She doesn't have money to buy long skirts or one of those Zara frocks. They're very expensive. On sale they're very cheap. Not that cheap, but yeah, she doesn't have that kind of money that she could buy those mango frocks or Mango maxi dresses, or Zara's maxi, or you even go to those superstores where even she doesn't have that money. Or she I don't know what a person is thinking when they wear clothes. Maybe they don't have clothes, they have that kind of clothes, that's why they're wearing that. You can't judge people's modesty or their perspective or what they're thinking or what motivates them to wear certain clothes. For me, I can definitely say that just because I cover my hair, I wear a hijab, that does not mean that I'm a pious woman. My actions, my thought process, that would define me in the way that who I am and what I believe in and what my values are and what kind of person I am. For me, a bikini wearing, totally nude woman is equal to me. She's as much pious as I am. She has as much sexual desires as I have. She probably is looking for her soulmate. I am looking for my soulmate with the hope that probably I will never find. She probably have same kind of insecurities. So I think in the end of the day, we all have same kind of insecurities in life. And to just limit people for saying that you can't wear this because you identify as that, that's just so wrong. That's just so wrong. We don't pay attention on people's gestures, people's acts, people's words, but we just judge them for how they look or how other people sort of define them. I think that's very wrong. And okay, that person wanted to wear female clothes, okay, fine. I mean, there is nothing wrong with wearing female. Okay, there is a bit something. No. Okay. Well, I mean, I would be lying saying that it doesn't affect me if my husband or my boyfriend would wear my clothes. That would be a blatant lie. I just want him to wear, I just want him to be comfortable in who he is. And if that means that he would be very comfortable wearing nothing on a beach, okay, I would object. Okay, at least wear shorts. You can have I will be okay if he would be wearing shorts and topless, and that much I can tolerate. That much I can tolerate, yeah, definitely. But even if he's not wearing anything, I mean, it's not like that I'm gonna just break up with him or get a divorce. Okay, fine, if you want to sunbathe, bathe, lying nude on a beach, okay. Yeah, I mean, but I please don't force me to do it. That's something that I don't force me to do it. If you want to, I'm okay with that. And so some of my friends would come up, or my girlfriends would come up. We saw your husband lying nude on a beach, sunbathing. I would say, well, he wants to sunbathe. This is his life. I mean, yeah, I would object if he would, I mean, the actions that if I would have an issue if my boyfriend, khas v'shalom, is a rapist or a pedophile. That would bother me, or a terrorist, or an extremist, or that would bother me, or fundamentalist type of no. That would give me a heart attack actually. So that would be the real thing. My boyfriend before me, or my husband before me, had sex with 100 women. Okay, lucky him. I mean, there is nothing I can do. I mean, the life that you're not part of, you can't take accountability of that. So and I strongly feel that people should pray to Hashem, to divine, about getting their soulmate, because I guess that is something very, very special, because you feel like it's just you don't see the other person apart from you, so that you don't judge them on a different level. You judge them on how you judge yourself. like you say that, okay, I made mistakes, but I was under those circumstances, then you give that leverage to your spouse too, or your boyfriend too. So one, I think we shouldn't judge our our abilities, our sexualities, and we shouldn't also judge other people's sexualities and their, I mean, there is a process. If someone feels that their spirit, their soul is feminine, or their soul is masculine and their body is something else, sometimes it takes time to reconcile and coordinate with the two. There's nothing wrong in thinking that you have a masculine or feminine soul, and it's nothing wrong with having a masculine body and or a feminine body. I think we need to understand that our soul has a purpose, and that purpose can only be fulfilled through our bodies, because our bodies are the material expressions of our soul and our divine connection. That's why all the mitzvahs are very, they're very material. You light the candle with your hands, you put your hand on your eyes and you pray and you make a blessing on the candles, and you eat kosher food. That is very material. You cook you cook with kashrut, in a kosher kitchen, in kosher vessels, utensils. So it's all material. So material and spiritual needs to be harmonized, and harmonize these energies. Being masculine, having a masculine soul, masculine body is beautiful. I mean, I even go on to say that, LGBTQ all are divine. They are divine connection. Nothing